All right, open up YouTubeski and Pop Brewski. I'm the last Caleb,
I'm Squeaky Pancake.
Son of Leahy.
and yeah. So first off, introducing our newest member, Alec. We're gonna be discussing Death Note today. Yeah.
The 2017 Netflix
Yeah.
original.
Are you okay?
movie.
Can you call that Death Note?
You can call it
I
something.
guess someone did. So.
Yeah, someone decided to. Regardless of what you want, someone decided to call it Death Note. So, okay, let's get your guys' perspectives first. So, Spencer, you're the one who actually introduced me to Death Note, first of all, so I'm interested.
Well, when I was going into the movie, I wasn't expecting it to be Death Note as I know it. I was going into it as like, okay, so this is what if Death Note ever never happened, and this is the first this is like the original Death Note.
Yeah.
That's how I went into it,
Yeah.
and
Which
from
is the smart
that,
choice.
by doing that, it's a better movie. By doing that, if you're gonna compare it to the Death Note that I know, oh god, no, not a good one.
All right. Alec, you were feeling pretty down on it, I know that.
Yeah, he says better movie. I'd say more enjoyable movie. I can get some kicks out of it, in that it's pretty laughable in a lot of moments.
I think we can all agree
dialogue.
that Ryuk, though, was pretty
Spot
just
on.
pretty spot on despite the changes they made to his character. I think had they not, we'll talk about that though later. There will be spoilers, by the way, just FYI, and we'll give everyone a heads up when we are about to enter spoiler territory. So, alright. But yeah. Alright. Yeah, so that was your perspective on it?
I got I forgot where I was. But
I forgot where it was too.
All right. Well, I know why we got lost, but why do you get lost?
I don't know. Anyways, were you about to say something? Okay.
Okay. Well, okay. My perspective on it was kind of, basically your guys's. I went into it, thinking this is not the Death Note I knew. I kind of went into it thinking, though, this is what would happen if you took all the Japanese culture out of Death Note and replaced it with American culture. And that's what this is strictly just an Americanized version of Death Note. And,
not much culture involved.
No, it's American culture, and not much culture involved.
Yeah, I guess there's a cheerleader girl, and there's a wimpy bully kid that gets mad and finds a way to get his revenge.
I think it was shot good. I think the style they went for, I think it worked, and I think a lot of the changes they made for it really could have worked for what they were going for, but like we discussed, the dialogue in this movie is atrocious. It's awful. There's still the most awful line to me in the entire movie is where we stopped it first, where I was like, I can't fucking go any further than this point, was where Light first, like, when the not Misa, but Mia character goes up to Light and is like, hey, what's that? And he's like, oh, I can't tell you what it is. And she's like, oh, okay. And then she starts to walk up and he goes, but wait, do you really want to know? And then proceeds to tell her, like, everything about it. It's just like, are you even trying to hide the fact that you have, like, you're a killer death god, like, at all from anyone right now?
Right.
I've just killed people. I mean, you're saying you wouldn't tell your little high school crush that you've never really spoken to that you're a murderer with some, like, otherworldly power in your hand?
Not if I was completely, like, mentally sound, no.
She's a cute, pretty cheerleader. And she likes gory movies. So
but my
she's
boner!
into murderers.
Oh my god. The thing, the script was god awful. I feel like they had a team of writers And the runtime might really killed this movie too, I think, just because of how just it feels really like they're just rushing through everything to me.
Yeah.
I feel like had this been drawn out into a series and everything, a lot of stuff could work. Except, and here we're going to start traveling towards spoiler territory now. So everyone who wants to go check it out, and without knowing much about it, I don't know why you clicked this video in the first place, because it'll literally have Death Note review in the title. So if you're, looking for no spoilers, then just go ahead and leave right now. The emotional L, like, I could see why L would get emotional after Watari's death, but, like, just the actor to me, we discussed this earlier, it just felt like he was trying too hard to, like, sound smart and all that. And just that whole moment where he has, like, completely different from the, like, character, like from the character we know in the manga and everything.
He's singing lullabies in the car.
Yeah, oh my god.
That was weird.
I didn't know what was going on,
But yeah, the fucking, just that emotional outburst where, like, he's, like, losing all his shit. I never got the sense that L was the intelligent guy that everyone was claiming him to be.
And same thing with Light.
Same thing with Light. Light is the biggest pussy in this. Just straight off the bat, they make sure of this. I guess we should run through the plot real quick, actually. Alright, so the biggest similarities that this has with the Japanese Death Note is just there's Ryuk, Light, and the Death Note falls into the human world, and I would say those were probably the biggest connections it has, besides Light running into L. And everything else is pretty much changed to fit this world of the Death Note. And in this world, the Death Note, Light is not the intelligent guy he is from the anime or the manga. He's a wimpy, bullied kid, does other kids' homework and everything. And one day just the Death Note just drops next to him and he picks it up, of course, like he does in the anime. And what happens after that? He gets the shit kicked out of him, yeah, I remember this. I remember the good old days. Yeah, he gets the shit kicked out of him. And they point out to you, like, how bad the school is that he's at, because, like, a teacher finds him on the ground along with all the papers of kids' homeworks that he's done. Instead of caring for this student that's sprawled out on the ground, she's like, this kid's doing other kids' homework? He's fucking in trouble now. And fucking, like, gets sent to the principal's office immediately. And even he's like, hey, is no one gonna ask why I was sprawled out on the ground, bleeding? All you guys are caring about is the fact that, I was doing other kids' homework and everything like that, man. You guys are fucked up. Oh, and they say fuck a lot in this movie, too. Weirdly enough.
It makes it edgy, bro.
Is everything up? It really felt like a Hot Topic made movie. But yeah, Light gets in trouble, sent to detention, where he's introduced to Ryuk. And just Ryuk, I guess, throws a shit tantrum or whatever and just fucking knocks everything around from Light. And fucking, yeah, oh my god, Light screams in this movie were the best thing I've ever seen in any cinema ever. But okay, maybe the Wilhelm scream tops it.
Okay.
But yeah, and this is where I mean, obviously it's just fucking diverged a lot already from the manga, but, like, when we're introduced to Ryuk, the way they portray Ryuk is a lot different than what they portray him in the anime, in the manga. And in this one, like, they made it seem like he was, like, the mastermind behind everything, but they made it seem like the Death Note wasn't his notebook. He says that, like, one of the big differences is every 7 days the notebook transfer, like, if no one uses it, it transfers to someone else after 7 days, which was new. Also, this notebook had, like, 100-something rules with it and everything, like, a lot more than what the one in the manga did, I believe.
Yeah. And they kind of just use that.
Oh, not to mention
their method to to create plot, like falsely create plot, and they're just like, well, yeah,
We'll
here's
get to
this,
that.
Here's this caveat that we can put in here
We'll
because
get to
we have
that.
this certain rule.
They also changed it so only the owner of the Death Note can see Ryuk. And apparently Ryuk can be killed by the Death Note because there's that line in there where it's like where Light threatens Ryuk because Ryuk's annoying like he is in the show. Light really like I love that line where like Ryuk's laughing in the background and Light's just like, shut the fuck up. Because I'm sure there were so many anime moments that like are moments in the anime where like you were just expecting Light to just turn around and be like, hey, will you just fucking knock it off for a second, man? But yeah, where he's like, you know, you can try to write my name in there, but the most anyone's ever gotten was 2 letters. They kept making it seem like Ryuk was going to be a big antagonist, but they never built anything on it. They kept going to it, and they never really did anything with it, I felt like.
Did they ever explain in the anime how if Ryuk has ever killed someone not using the Death Note?
No.
Okay.
I guess logically that would make sense, but
Because, like, I'm just thinking about, like, how would they get... Would he kill them before they got more than 2 letters?
That's what he made it seem like he would do.
Yeah.
well, that almost implies the existence of a second Death Note, either that or what you're saying now.
Mhm.
But now we're just rambling.
I mean, he had 2 notebooks in the manga.
yeah,
so.
but this isn't the manga.
But
Really?
here, let me keep going through the plot because I really think they were like were kind of banking on a sequel. But anyway, Light runs into he uses the Death Note, finds out like he can kill people with it, and then like immediately runs into Mia, and we already went over that where he immediately explains everything to her, and they fall in love like
you.
that. Yeah, literally like that, and there's that
You kill people, I love you.
There's those whole scenes where they're like fucking like killing people and like it's like
Making
killing
also,
like it's like their
half
foreplay,
banging
yeah, half
and,
banging and everything, and it's just like you can just like hear you can just like almost cut yourself on the edginess of it. Like, oh my god, look how edgy we are.
Kira was born.
But this is and Kira's born, and then L steps in, and we get like Watari 2. And Light eventually takes control of Watari to get a hold of L's name and everything, but right before he can get like L's name, Ryuk wrote how Watari would die in the Death Note, and he dies before revealing what L's name was to Light, which I never understood. Like fucking Ryuk made it sound like he was trying to really get Light to kill everyone in his way and everything, and then I don't get why he would stop.
I just realized Light had never even seen L's face, really. He'd seen like half of it, or like a quarter of it. So how would having his name
No.
him to kill him?
Oh, yeah, at that point, yeah, he had.
So that
Wouldn't have worked
doesn't
either.
really make any sense, but he did it anyway.
But,
Because
yeah.
he's a smart guy. He knows more than we do. Don't worry.
That is a plot hole.
Even though there's nothing identifying that he's smart, they'll show it later on.
But anyway, Watari dies, and L basically goes berserk and threatens Light at his home with his father. And another big difference from the anime and the manga is that Light's mom isn't present. Light's mom was actually murdered by some criminal, which is why Light really hates criminals and everything. Sister's not existent at all in this universe. Yeah. And God, there was something else I was going to say that was a big change too, but I forgot what it was. I guess I'll just remember it later.
Rim's not in it.
Yeah, Rim's not in it at all.
His dad came forward and publicly challenged him.
That was a change you said you liked too, and I like it too. Because the whole way that L figures out that Light is I remember what it was about Light. Yeah, his name's not Yagami, it's Turner. And like I said, Americanization. Like he's one of my fairly godparents. Ryuk. But the whole way L figures out who Light is, or who Kira is because Light's dad comes forward and basically like does a giant middle finger to Kira, and Light doesn't kill him, and so L's like, wait a minute, this guy was just like saying fuck Kira, and he's not dead, so why isn't he dead? Because he's got his name, he's got his face. Oh, his son must be Kira. His son must have not wanted to kill his dad.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was really well done too. But because L can't prove anything on Light, and they make it seem like he's crazy, Mia ends up hiding the book from the police and everything. But then the plot takes a twist, and Mia ends up wanting the book for herself, and ends up putting Light in a position where he's either going to die if he doesn't give her ownership of the book. And that was a kind of twist that I thought worked for the movie, having Mia switch into like the smarter like role of the two.
I agree.
Yeah, considering they hadn't done a good job considering Light hadn't proven his intelligence at all, it made some sense.
And then you get that whole finale where it's basically L chasing Light as Light rushes.
Sick chase scene. He's got his pistol. He's strapped up.
Ends up out on a Ferris wheel and everything.
Over everything in his path.
And fucking
And so Light wrote Mia's name.
Yeah, in the Death Note, and the whole chase scene is basically what Light wrote in the Death Note, how everything was gonna go.
It was all scripted.
Yeah, and that's when you actually kind of see Light as being the anime Light, and I thought that was good character development. I thought it
Come on, they just threw it in at the end. Here you go.
It could have worked, I think, if they had time and writers, but like I said, the whole thing, an hour and 30 minutes is pretty short for a movie in today's day and age. So
that's all it is a movie. They didn't have any of the artistic workings of a film. Like, there's no...
And see, when you try to judge it on itself as a film too, there's really nothing standing out about it.
Right.
The best thing about this whole film, I would say, is Willem Dafoe's Ryuk. Everything else, the saddest part about this movie is just it's so forgettable. There's nothing that makes it memorable to me. Like not like I couldn't really even suggest this to you even if you like didn't want to watch the anime for Death Note. I wouldn't really even suggest this for like a casual moviegoer. It's like the movie, when you take it like not as being like the actual Death Note, it becomes a funner movie, but it doesn't become a better movie, I don't think. I think like when you judge it as a movie on its own, it doesn't stand against anything.
Yeah.
I feel like Ryuk killing Watari was just them trying to make Ryuk seem relevant. Because other than that, there's not much that Ryuk does besides just be there.
Didn't Light have his name in the Death Note, and he just killed him in a way that wasn't quite what would have benefited him? Yeah,
Watari?
he was like...
He was going to burn the page before Watari died.
Yeah, but Light had written it all out, and... Yeah, okay. But... No, that was a different character that he had that stupid ass line with. Never mind.
The whole movie was a mess.
Yeah. I think given the time frame that they had, what they had to do is, come up with some specific thing of intrigue and focus it so that they could develop it and have a whole plot, a full plot with all the intricacies. Instead they just, briefly tried to throw in every element they could. They touched on stuff without actually,
that was one of the biggest problems for me. Like I said, had this been a series, I think a lot of things could have been, had they been fleshed out a lot more, could have possibly worked. But like I said, I could be totally wrong. Could have been a lot worse maybe if they had made it a series. I'm just...
I think a 12, 13, 45, 12 episode, 45 minute per episode series.
I would even suggest maybe a 10 episode series, really 45 minutes. They could easily get a good first season in the first arc in general, probably, of Death Note in there. Because the episodes themselves are 20 minutes? Each. So yeah, there's a lot you could cut out from the original show and still make it a pretty enjoyable watch.
Yeah, or they could not do that.
Yeah.
I'd be pretty happy.
Or they could just not. Yeah, or they could just And see, that's another thing. There's no need for this movie. Actually, there's no need for this to be made. At all.
Death Note's very dated. I'll admit that.
And you know what? It's aged well, I would say. I would say, like, it stands pretty well on its own. It doesn't need anything else. The story begins and the story ends, and it wraps itself up real nicely.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really need anything else following it. So, I mean, this was, I want to say it was a cash grab, but I don't know if I can even say it was a cash grab, because it didn't really seem like there was a lot of trying, really,
No.
in this at all. It was like... It was like they had the rights and they were like,
Yeah, they're
"Shit,
just
this
like,
is gonna
well,
expire.
let's
We need,
do
to,
it.
yeah,
I
we need
mean,
to do something."
We can do it, so let's do it. Like, we can throw this shit together and slap the label on it, and people will watch it.
Yeah. We watched it.
All those previews,
Well, okay, so yeah, I've stated how I'd make it better. So I mean, like, just basic improvements for you guys. Something you would absolutely change about this. I
well,
mean,
like I said, just it needs a focus, like a drive. It needs to choose what it want. Like, you know, it should have focused Ellen Light. That's one focus it could have made. It barely had that at all. Like, they weren't rivals. They had no real interactions.
You don't
besides
get that
one
intense,
conversation.
intelligent
They
conversation.
had one
like,
face-to-face conversation where the whole time he's not trying to hide the fact that he's Kira.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a rivalry.
And I was confused during that
really
scene, though.
the main focus, like the only thing that I could see is a real focus of the film would be the love relationship between Light Turner and Mia. And that's like,
Yeah.
that's not even a part of the original, so it just blows my mind that was how they chose to make it happen. But
Going back to that diner scene, I don't know about you guys, but I was a little confused during it. That, like, at first, Light was like, "Hey, maybe, like, you know, like, I want to help you defeat Kira because, like, I'm about to be fucked over."
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden he switches gears. He's like, "Actually, you know what? I'm gonna stay Kira and
Yeah.
fuck you."
Yeah, he's like, you don't even know what Kira's going through. Like, you don't know the half of it. Like, maybe he's this or that. I think Kira's this.
It's just the whole movie is like you don't. I can't stress this enough. I mean, like, even if you're a fan, you don't need to see this movie. If you're just like casual moviegoer, you don't need to go see this movie. Only, I would say, if you're curious, like we were, should you really just watch this movie? Because, like, we just watched it out of basic curiosity.
Yeah, if you want, like, a few laughs, if you want some time to kill, if you want something to fall asleep to.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, I wouldn't really suggest this. Really.
Something that really stood out to me, to make, in the anime anyways, to make Light seem very intelligent, is when he was under the surveillance of L.
Yes.
And all the things he did to, like,
Yeah.
just make it seem like he was just a regular high school kid.
Really, all we needed were titty mags and potato chip scene, and it would have been a good movie.
Bam.
Could you imagine
No,
Light Turner
definitely.
doing... Light Turner would have been perfect for the
I totally
potato
feel you.
chip scene.
You're not wrong. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Because even in the anime, didn't he set up a contraption that if they opened the drawer to the Death Note, it would burn it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, like, he had the false paper set up in his door, so people would think that that's what they wanted him to do, or like that was his indicator whether someone had entered or not. But really, he just tilts the handle at a slightly different degree angle, and he recognized it that way. But now we'll just throw it in my school locker.
See, the
No
whole
one will
time
ever
they...
get out of there.
The whole time they basically kept telling you, hey, these guys are really smart, and then they never really show you them doing anything
There's
really
no
smart.
Yeah, there's no, like, investigative work or any, like, Sherlock Holmesing that goes on as L, except just, like, a couple lines where it's just like, yeah. And then it's like,
I remember Kara pointed out when we were talking about it earlier, fucking that L was... In the anime, seemed to be always kind of neat and, like, you know, like a lot more organized. And here he's just throwing candy everywhere and everything.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, I just...
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he throws multiple fits
Yeah.
when there's like less than one at the OGL. But what are you gonna do? I guess.
Well, that wraps up pretty much my thoughts on the whole thing. I can't really think of anything else to squeeze into that. All right. Well, yeah. I guess that's been the Death Note.
Wait. Did L kill Light?
Oh, it ends on that stupid, it ends with, okay, the whole movie ends with, Light in the hospital having been rescued by someone whose name he put in the Death Note to ensure that he would be safe and secure when the whole ordeal wrapped up. And then L finds a piece of the Death Note and he grabs a pen and he's, looking at Light's face, and you don't know if he writes his name in it or not, but it ends with Ryuk laughing, going, "You humans are so interesting." Kind of like how he does in the anime, actually. And I think they were hoping for a sequel, or they were leaving it open for that and such.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be hoping for a sequel anytime soon. I think they're gonna look at
Light's bitch ass.
Yeah.
That's what I'm taking it as.
Also,
I'm
Light's
never looking
dad.
back.
Now knows that he.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
he
yeah.
was hero.
He did figure that out. That's right.
Also, do you think that having literally the last 10 minutes being planned by Light was a cop out?
a little bit, yeah, for how they had portrayed the character up until if they're not
And that
planning.
was where they
If they're planning to follow this up, no, I believe that it will work for the character going forward. If they're not planning on following this up and this is all they're planning to do with it, then yes, absolutely, that was a cop out. But if they're hoping to lead to character development, then
yeah.
it works.
fair.
And if
Yeah.
not, then yeah, absolutely, that's a fucking cop out. 'Cause
Yeah.
at no point in the movie does Light Turner seem smart
Right.
at
Oh,
all.
well, there's a caveat. We have, based on the rule system, he can actually write 7 paragraphs of intricate details.
Oh, he wrote on one small piece of paper too, though. Was the stupidest thing. One full page, but he was writing really big and everything.
Yeah.
There was not a lot he wrote down,
Yeah.
but for how everything went, you were like, shit, that's a lot of details.
Yeah.
All right, well, okay. Anything else?
I think we're set.
All right, okay, cool. I guess now we're set. That was the Death Note review. You've been listening to the Bro Power Podcast. I'm Caleb.
Sweet pancake.
Out.
Spencer.
Signing off.
Ooh, adios.